respected viewers, dear sir and madam, dear research scholars, and my dear students. This is an online national seminar on Literary Emperor Annabhai Sathe, organized by Department of History and IPOC, Arts and Commerce College, PHONDAGHAT, under the University of Mumbai, Maharashtra. I am very much thankful to Taderao sir and the principal sir of Arts and Commerce College, PHONDAGHAT, for inviting me as a resource person in the online national seminar on Annabhai Sathe. Myself, Guptajit Pathak, an assistant professor in the Department of History and IPOC coordinator, Kanya Mahavidyalay, Gitanagar, Guwahati, Assam. Now I will start my presentation. My topic is the visions of Annabhai Sathe in the Indian labor movement, the contemporary relevance. Now, this is Annabhai Sathe, born on 1st August 1920, Wategao, Maharashtra, and died 18 July 1969, Mumbai, Maharashtra. So the basic abstract of the paper is the exploitation of the workers led to the rise of labor movement in India throughout the last quarter of the 19th century. This is basically the last quarter of the 19th century. Here, many leaders and many personalities address the questions of the laborers. The questions means their struggles, their attempts, their efforts, all these things included here. This is Sathe, Annabhai Sathe, Dalit. He was basically from the Dalits. Was one of the outstanding leaders who observed all these things very systematically. Observations towards variety of labor issues and problems throughout his valuable writings and speeches. This is very much important. While talking about Annabhai Sathe, we have to talk about his valuable literatures and his speeches, lectures, his great novels, short stories, ballads, folk dramas, poems are the elements of his literary identity. Sathe's extraordinary impact towards the Indian labor movement is of great value. The very identity of the paper is the task of Annabhai Sathe in the Indian labor movement with its contemporary relevance. The backdrop, this is introduction. Annabhai Sathe was recognized as the organic intellectual. That means he was the identity of the intellectuals. The political and rational abilities, he reflected his ideology for what? The deep sensitivity to the questions of subaltern groups. The subaltern groups basically covers the working classes, the untouchables, and women, etc. These are the examples. His great involvement to the labor movement has its historical paradigm. All his contributions, his greatest contributions, has its contemporary relevance. There are three basic objectives of my paper. Number one, to explore the visions of Annabhai Sathe. Visions means projects, visions means targets, visions means missions like that. Second objective is that to be acquainted with the Indian labor movement with a view of Annabhai Sathe. That means Annabhai Sathe's impact towards Indian labor movement. And third objective is that the contemporary relevance of Annabhai Sathe through his multifaceted influence. Multifaceted influence means the influence towards literature, the influence towards Dalits, the influence towards social development, that is human development, internally and externally. The research questions. Number one, is there any vision or prospect of Annabhai Sathe? Number two, is there any impact on Indian labor movement in which Annabhai Sathe was connected directly or indirectly? And number three is that what is the contemporary relevance of Annabhai Sathe? This is the rationality, means justification, importance of the study towards Annabhau Sathe. Annabhau Sathe was directly involved with the Dalit movement, Indian labor movement. His valuable writings in Marathi literature, his very valuable speeches, lectures for the improvement of the classes and castes, their problems, their questions, the struggles like that, and his political based concept and his balanced identity. Balanced identity with the very identity which covers for the improvement of the society towards his ideological contributions. The very methodology based on books of Annabhau Sathe, different research papers written by different scholars and professors, many paper clips, different journals, web. Question is that, talking about Indian labor movement, talking about Annabhau Sathe, but first question is that, what is meant by labor? What is a labor? Who is a labor? Labor means effort or work, like physical effort, mental effort. In economics, the labor means manual work. What we do generally, work manually, is called manual work. In economics, we can say it's a manual work. What was Indian labor movement? It was basically a political movement campaigning to develop the rights, the issues and questions for the conditions of the working classes, the Dalit classes, the labor classes, like that. History of Indian labor movement. In the year 1920, Indian National Trade Union Congress was set up. Importantly, with the trade union, the labor movement in India received marvelous incentives. This means that is the important chapter of the history of the Indian labor movement. The development in 1923, when the then government activated Indian Trade Union Act. This is the historical paradigm of Indian labor movement. Now, the first objective will be reflected to these points, the visions of Annabhau Sathe towards the activities of study circle of Communist Party, Chamukta Maharashtra movement towards the labor movement, a looming existence, a looming life in Maharashtra's socio-economic and cultural existence. A person, that is Sathe, of extraordinary quality, like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Dr. Jyotirao Phule to some extent. That means his ideology can be compared with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, can be compared with Jyotirao Phule. Towards Annabhau's world, caste-based social order, we can imagine, we can think all literary perspectives, in all his literary perspectives. Second objective, Indian labor movement with a view of Annabhau Sathe. Sathe worked with the communist movement and his serious viewpoint towards the Dalits, towards the betterment of the Dalits, towards the development of the Dalits. While talking about the writings of Annabhau Sathe, we have to talk about his 35 novels, 1 play, 1 travelogue, 10 folk dramas, 23 collections of short stories, and 10 ballads published in Marathi language. This is very much important. Literary endeavor is called. His realistic experiences and his novels reveal the fighting potency, that is the spirit. Motivations were innovative and practical, and he portrayed the societal actuality, oppressive systems of the power and working classes' miserable environment. And his valuable writings are constructive, and his exceptional tools for knowing subaltern communities' realizations, the realization of the subaltern communities, the Dalits, the working classes, women's, oppressive classes, like that. So, is there any contemporary relevance of Annabhau Sathe? and his writings and his contributions. Number one, he was a man of human development. First one, we get all these things from his literature. And number two, a primary growth of Marathi literature and art. We get all these things from Marathi literature and art. The basic contributions from Annabhai Sathe. An immense writer and societal directions. Sathe's emergence is a principal symbol of contemporary Maharashtra. That means his writings always reflect contemporary Maharashtra. An ultimate significance of Dalit and working classes. That means that his writings reflects the Dalits, his writing reflects the working classes, his writing reflects the women as a whole. That means all the subaltern classes. So this is very much important while talking about the contemporary relevance. That if there is, while talking about contemporary relevance, we have to see its historical paradigm also to some extent. Major findings. Number one, equal importance to both caste and classes in India. Number one. Second thing, caste and class issues and their problems. He saw all these things, all these things. Number three, urban middle class to the rural masses. This is very much important. He was a follower of Karl Marx, Mahatma Phule, N.M. Lokhande, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Sathe's lifetime attempts, or you can say Sathe's lifetime struggles, were depicted in all his writings and literatures. That means his literary identity speaks about his contributions. Sathe devoted entire life to spread the labor movement in India. His life, his full life, his entire life, basically connected to the labor movement in India, the Dalit movement, labor movement in Maharashtra, like things, classes and castes, issues, problems, all these things. So now I have to come to conclusion point. That's summing up. In the history of labor movement in India, we have to talk about the contribution of Sathe, Sathe's societal reactions, societal relations as an activist, we have to say. A passionate devotee of the workers' rights, he always written his writings for the cause of workers' rights, to get the proper rights. His doctrines means principles, dimensions, based upon Marxism, which is applied among the workers and it glorified into the reality, realism, activism. Budhari, Millah, Inamdar, Bilandar, Budawe are the depiction of folk reality. These are the depiction of folk reality. So, in the conclusion point, I have to add one more thing, that what type of writings we get from Sathe, these are very important in today's life, today's paradigm. So, it has its contemporary relevance. I have consulted some bibliography and references, like on the life and work of Annabhau Sathe, Guptajit, labor movement in Bombay, origin and growth up to independence, Cartley and Annabhau Sathe, Jivan Ani Sahitya, that is based on Marathi language. Ambedkar, Z, Dalit and the Democratic Revolutions, Dr. Ambedkar and the Dalit movement in colonial India, that's published from New Delhi says publication. Rob P, that is edited volume, and that is an edited volume in 1993. Dalit movements, it basically highlights Dalit movements and the meaning of labor in India. These are the references and bibliographies. So thank you to all. Special thank to Principal Sir, Satish Sir, and my dear friend, one of the best friends from Maharashtra is Dr. Tadere Sir, who invited me and given us such type of opportunity. Thank you very much. Thank you.